Hare Krishna, dear devotees, this is Rasika Preeti Devi Dasi from the beautiful farms of Neelachal Vedic villages, Kontalasari. In today's video, we are going to talk about what sort of skills should your children learn. Now, it is important that apart from education, apart from their formal education, English, math, science, history, geography, whatever they are learning, we teach them some skills which are going to be helpful for them, okay? Of course, they should have a good idea about the household work, and since an early age you must start teaching them all the household work that is there. But we'll talk about the household chores and why they're important some other time. But today we'll talk about some extra skills that you can give to your children. Now, when we talked about rhythm, how and high and low activity is important to calm your child. Another type of activity that really calms their energy is activities which are repetitive in nature. For example, chanting. Okay, so I feel really diminishing the value of chanting when I just call it as an activity where it is the ultimate uplifting act that we do in our day, the only real true meaningful act, the most real true meaningful act that we do in the day. But just to give you an idea, when we are chanting, we are repeating a mantra again and again and again. When we do such repetitive chanting, repetition of mantra, your fingers move on the beads, your fingers are engaged, your ear is engaged, your eyes are engaged in seeing the deities or closed in concentration. Your words, your mouth is engaged. What is happening? Your mind comes in focus, it centers, and it improves your concentration, it improves your memory, it brings a sense of calm and peace and quiet. And of course, the benefits of mantra. So of repetitive activity, it helps us. So same benefit can be achieved when you make your children to paint. Of course, not same as spiritual benefits, but on a physical level, on a mental level, on an emotional level, it's important to teach your children some work, some act that they do with their hands. Use of hands is important here, okay? Not something digitally, not something जो ऐसे ही हो जाता है easily, okay? Painting, for example, when a child is painting, they have to get a control on their hand so that the shape comes in properly. How much pressure to apply with a paintbrush, how much water to add, how much color, mixing what color in what proportion will give what color to us, So painting is a task which really helps your children learn a lot of mathematical skills, because their motor skills, their gross motor skills, their fine motor skills, everything improves with painting and with hands, okay? Not digital painting. I'm not talking about digital. I'm not diminishing the value of digital painting, but anything that is digital comes later on, not early, not before 12 years of age at least, okay? After that you can introduce to digital media, but not before that, okay? And knitting. Now, knitting and crochet are two different things. For those who don't know, knitting happens with two long pointed needles. Crochet happens with a hook. There is a crochet hook. वो hook लेके you crochet with one hand. Okay. Now, crochet should not begin up till 9 years of age. Okay. Crochet is not for younger children. The younger your child, engage them in activities using both the hands. When both hands, say when they do knitting, it's easier comparatively compared to crochet. Knitting is easier. When both their right and left hand is engaged in knitting, what happens is their right part of the body, the center line, the center division that we have right here, it comes in balance. It is not formed at an early age. It forms by 7, 8, maximum by 9, it is completely formed, okay? So up till that age, up till that is done, the more activities they do where both the hands are engaged, swimming for example, walking, running, where both the hands are engaged, then it helps their growth, okay? And knitting particularly is such a lovely work. It's repetitive because you're repeating the pattern again and again and again. It requires concentration, because if you miss a stitch, you're going to have to frog everything, unravel everything that you've done and start again, the entire row at least. So you have to be concentrating on it, and it's such a beautiful, you're turning strings into things. You just take some string and you make something out of it. It gives them a power of sense of achievement, a power to create something, It, especially when a child is 9-year-old, is when they are completely in their body and they start feeling separation from God. They feel that, oh my God, how am I going to survive in this world? I'm away from the divine, I'm away from God. They feel separation, and so they need to have skills which will help them survive the basic basic, the necessities of life, roti kapda makan kind of. So, and of course that is the time they will question you more about spiritual life. So this is where you can use this opportunity to give them good shastra, tell them creation stories. We'll do another section where we'll talk about what stories go at what age, but for now, and these skills, they really need skills which help them to stitch clothes. तो वो अपना खाना बनाना आना चाहिए. You can start basic cooking with them. Baking, you can start with baking and then move to gas cooking slowly, cutting, chopping. You can teach them all these things. You can start as early as 5, 6. It's no harm. Even 4-year-old, 3-year-old can help you with baking. They can mix, you can give them a cup of flour, ask them to put it, ask them to move the whisk around. So all these things can start at an early age. And they need to learn to cook, they need to learn to sew at 8-9 years of age, and they also need to learn, they should have an idea of how houses are built. You can take them to a construction site, you can teach them, you can build a small cardboard house, or maybe if possible for you, जहाँ पे कुछ construction हो रहा है वहाँ आप उनको दिखा सकते हो, या ईंट लगवा भी सकते हो उनके हाथ से कि how this is done, how wooden house, some wooden work is done, small dog house you can build, or small miniature version of houses you can build, for them to get a sense of how houses are built, how habitats are built, so this is the time when you talk about all these things. And these skills that are there, knitting, crochet, painting, craft work, and music, playing mridanga, playing kartal, playing harmonium, playing any kind of instrument, singing, dancing, gymnastics, these skills, they are really, really important, and very important for them to learn, not only for their growth but also for a sense of self-development, sense of achievement, that they can do something more, they can do so many things. Another thing in which these skills will help you is because when your child is having nothing to do, instead of watching videos, instead of watching craft, cartoons and all such nonsense which is going to damage them on all levels, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, it's videos, mobile, digital media are a damage to all levels of a person. Okay, it just destroys the person completely. So instead of that, they should be engaged in constructive activities like knitting, painting, singing. These are things you don't need extravagant classes, you don't need many things in your house, instruments in your house. A ball of yarn and 2 sticks, those skewer sticks जो हम skews बनाने में, like you tandoori food, the paneer and all you put on the sticks, the long sticks, a little stronger one, you can use that and knit. That is so, knitting is that simple. In fact, the first knitting needles should be wooden ones, nicely polished. You can make it out of wood. That could be one activity, that you're making your own knitting needles by nicely chiseling and shaving off the wooden sticks, sharpening them, polishing them and making into nice needles. If not, buy ready-made ones and teach them the art of knitting. You can start teaching finger knitting se kar sakte ho, that they get a hang of threads. Even in your free time as a parent, this is what you should be doing. Okay, reading is an activity. You should read, but you should also do other things like this. When you in your free time are sewing something, हाथ से सिलाई कर लो, कुछ कपड़ा फट जाता है, उसको लेके दर्जी के पास जाने से अच्छा आप हाथ से सिलाई लगा लो, हाथ से बटन लगा लो, छोटे छोटे ड्रेस बनाओ, डीटी के ड्रेसेस बनाना, डीटी के डेकोरेटिव थिंग्स बनाना, उनके मैट्स बनाना, थालपोश बनाना, बैकग्राउंड के लिए बैकड्रॉप्स बनाना. देयर आर सो मेनी थिंग्स आप knitting से बना सकते हो, स्टिचिंग से बना सकते हो. Thus engaging them in service. Flower garland making, another beautiful art that you can teach your children. Teach them to make garlands, so this is a fine art. Okay, this is where fineness is required. Your hands are getting engaged and it's important that they learn. Everybody should know to knit, everybody should know to stitch, every child should know to paint. Basic. I'm not expecting, it's unrealistic to expect them to become artists, but isn't that how it was in the olden days? All these scientists that we know, Galileo or anybody, did they take pictures? Pythagorean or whatever, जो भी बड़े बड़े नाम हम लेते हैं, they were good painters, they were good sculptors, they were mathematicians, they were everything. Why? Because working with hands is something that really makes you active. Your brain cells becomes active. In your hands there are 27 bones, that connect to so many different parts of the body. It's very important. Ones who have control on their hands, they have control over their body. That's why chanting happens with hands. You take the beads and chant. बहुत जन बोलते हैं माला की क्या जरूरत है, मन से भी तो chanting कर सकते हैं. But when you use this palm senses for chanting, your fingers are engaged. It brings you. Your hands are always fidgeting. When we talk, like if even when I do. Mostly we move our hands. Our hands are very fidgety all the time. Your hand needs something. When you, wherever your hand is, that is where your attention is going to be. So wherever your mind goes, it usually follows your hands. Of course, your senses, but it follows your hands. So that is why we have so many mudras that we do from the hands to concentrate, to heal. Why the hand mudras are there? The pranam mudra, the pran mudra. There are so many different types of mudras that help you to heal your body. So your hands should be constructively engaged, touching only natural things. Okay. So before we move on, if you like this video, please like it. Please, you hitting the like button really encourages me. And if you feel this is of any value and this will help somebody that you know, please share it with them. Please spread the word around. And if you have any comments for me, if you have any feedback, if you just want to say good job done, you can say that. Don't think good job done, say it. It will mean a lot to me. It will encourage me. So put in a comment there. And even if you have requests for any more topics that you want me to cover, I'll definitely do that. Okay, so engaging in work with hands is very important. The more your hands are engaged, the more you will see a different sense of achievement in child, confidence in child. It's healing. You heal with your hands, playing in the mud, building something, clay work. That is also so important. The clay work is important, and when you work with clay, when you mold it, you press it, so much of intelligence is applied. How much pressure, where to finely bend, where to push hard, press hard, how to roll your hands to shape the clay. Clay work is again a very important activity that you can introduce to the child. So all these skills, sculpting, clay work, sculpting comes later on, but at least initially आप carpentry कर सकते हो. Carpentry, you can give them carpentry lessons, basic, just a whittling knife and a piece of wood. You can, they can just start shaping it, make something out of it. Start with simple knitting needles, then you can make spoons and make mouse, peg dolls. So many things can be made. All you need is a whittling knife. It's very easily available in the market, and a piece of wood, छोटा सा लकड़ी का टुकड़ा लेके scrap it. Later on, they can make small figurines out of it, toys out of it. Just so much constructive play rather than any sort of nonsensical engagement. Even when you're choosing what class to put your child into, just select one physical activity. Now that can be anything. That can be like any kind of sports, gymnastics, yoga, and one physical activity is enough. One activity where they can release themselves, like singing, painting, and all those things. And the third thing is they should be engaged in fine work like this. Okay, garland, motiyon se mala banana, all these things, jewelry making. So all these fine work, they help them concentrate, give them a sense of achievement, and it's very important for their overall growth, their mind growth. And that will keep them so constructively busy that they'll not worry about mobile phones. You'll not have to worry about mobile phones. And it should all be with a purpose, not just bana ke uska karenge kya. Okay, it should not be just like mas aise banana. No. What is the purpose of this? Why are you making it? That is also very important. Are you making it as a DT for the DT, for yourself, to gift it to somebody? Small jewelry, everything should have a purpose. Okay. Alright, that was all for now. We'll meet again in next video with more such lovely content. Till then, thank you so much for being with us. Hare Krishna.